Welcome to Black Gumbo. Let's go plant. This nutsedge, it's everywhere. Had a good rain this past week, and my beds still don't have plants in them, but I'm keeping on top of the weeds that pop up with my scuffle hoe, my stirrup hoe over there. Now we got an air show going on. Phoebe's not happy, she's staying inside. Here in Zone 9A on the Texas coast, a winter garden is something that every gardener should do. In the winter garden you can grow brassicas, you can grow things like cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, onions. There's carrots. Carrots grow well through our winters here. So I'm going to spend the day putting out some cauliflower and cabbage and getting my winter garden underway in earnest. Just like that. Yeah, these cauliflowers aren't looking real great because they got a little burnt in the sun while hardening off. But they'll be all right. Got several of them in some of these plugs here. So we'll let them get established and we'll thin out the ones we don't need to keep. Yeah, it's unusually warm right now in November, but it'll cool off next week. So it's a good time to get these plants in. Let them enjoy a warm week. These weeds will stop popping up as eagerly as they have been. You can dig these nutsedges all you want. They tend to stick around because the nut along the root anchors them in here. But weeding is what we gardeners do. Any little bit of this left in there in the garden will come back. So I like to pull them out when I see them. There's another one of those nuts. Yeah, bury that thing and you'll have nutsedge for years. Check out these cauliflower. These will survive. However, you can see this damage right here. This white damage, that's what sun scald looks like. That's when you try to harden off your plants too quickly. These leaves, they just don't take the sun if they've been indoors. And these plants have been outside now for, 10 days. And they just didn't take the sun. But the new growth will be just fine. So we can plant these. I've already planted the more healthy ones, but some of these just look real bad. And then there's other varieties, like this cabbage. I've got a little bit of sun scald here and there, but mostly on the cotyledons, those original seed leaves. The true leaves that have come out since being outside are all healthy. And this is a real nice set of cabbages here. This is a flat Dutch cabbage. And very healthy. So we need to put some of these in the ground and get them growing. Alright, I've got some broccoli. And again, these have been in the seed trays far too long. You can see how long and spindly these are. But we'll plant them and they should do fine. Again, these have been somewhat neglected and I've pushed them, hardening them off. You can see there's some damage on this Hilton cabbage here. Some of these leaves turned yellow and got sun scald. This one right here, you know, that's not a healthy leaf, but that's okay because the new growth has come out just fine. I did give these a shot of fish emulsion when I started hardening them off, and that really helped them. So let's see if we got some healthy broccoli plants here. If we got a few of them we can plug in the yard out here. Some of these don't look so good, but some of them look just fine, so we'll see what we can get. I'm planting some broccoli over here. I like to space my plants about 2 to 3 feet apart. There's 2 plants in that root ball. We'll see if we can get something to grow here. I'm not real confident in this broccoli. I've got some sweet potatoes volunteering right here. They won't make it through the winter, but they will come back later. That's what sweet potatoes do. They once you get them in an area like this, it's hard to get rid of sweet potatoes. They'll just keep growing there for you. It's a nice healthy soil. Been working on this soil for many years, amending it, keeping it fertile, filled with organic material. Every now and then I find fish bones in here from compost. It's fun to do a little garden archaeology sometimes and see how things are progressing in your soil, see what's breaking down, what hasn't broken down. So the further apart you plant your cabbages or any kind of plant in a garden, the better they're going to handle drought, and the better they're going to be able to survive without watering, if that's your thing. What I'll do is come back and water in these plants twice. We want the soil to settle any air gaps that are down there in our hole where our seedlings are. And you want to water them in really good. We're going to get some rain toward the end of the week and a cold front where we get down into maybe the upper 30s at night. So I'd like these to spend the rest of this warm week getting their roots established and finding their feet here in their new home. These brassicas are cold hardy. They'll do just fine. All right, there we go. Got this bed planted. This bed was a weedy mess just a month ago. And we're still going to have to fight the weeds, but that's what the stirrup hoe is for. Unless I heavily mulch this, I'll have to come in and use the stirrup hoe and work this soil. That's okay. That's another benefit of wide spacing. All right, so we've got this bed here in the middle ready to plant. And this one over here we planted last night. And you can see after I watered this morning, you can still see that the soil retains the moisture quite nicely. The difference between where I watered and didn't water is very clear. So these are my cauliflowers down here, and yeah, we're hopeful that those will take off. Again, wide spacing. I can come in here and cultivate these weeds that are popping up. Just cut them down with this blade. And if it's nutsedge, I try to remove it, because if you leave that bit behind, it will sprout. But this makes it easy. You don't have access to a whole bunch of mulch. This makes it easy to grow. Just come by every day and knock the weeds down, and eventually they give up. See, because of the wide spacing, I can get in here with the hoe, not have to worry too much about cutting the roots of my plants here. And these plants, as they grow, they'll spread out and cover the ground and act as their own mulch and suppress weed growth. So, real easy. All right. Nice. Hey, what's up? Huh? What are you doing? Don't eat my cabbage this year, okay? Don't eat the cabbage. You ready to go in? It's a little too warm for a fur coat, isn't it? Well, I'm staying out here. What have we still got going in our garden? This was put in the spring. This is my herb garden, and you can see the thyme there is looking a little ragged. but there's fresh growth. The rosemary is going like crazy. We have an endless supply of rosemary. This is ginger. We've had some dieback on some of that ginger, but some more stems have come up and they even flowered. So I'm pretty sure there's some ginger root down there, but I'm just going to store it in the ground and leave it be. Here's what you can do in a small space. Over here, many of you have seen my muscadine micro vineyard. I've got 4 vines here. They produce heavily every year. They're what, in their 5th year, I guess? Gonna have to tighten that wire next pruning. But yeah, muscadine grapes, you can grow in pots. I've got these 3 beds here. I've got all these trees over here. They're looking really bad. That one's nice. Got all these potted trees. There's some citrus in pots over here. Figs have all starting to drop their leaves. I have a little raised bed right there tucked in. But check this out. I've got a bunch of fruit trees in my backyard. Small backyard. I've got a plum tree. There's a peach tree. I've got 5 apple trees, and I'm putting in 2 more today. We're going to grow these back here and keep them small. And you can do that. You can have apples and fruit and all kinds of stuff in a small space. A couple raised beds over in the corner. One of those, that one, the trough, it's got a nice thornless blackberry bush. I made jelly this year from that. I've got another metal raised bed full of sweet potatoes. I've got my Meyer lemon tree here, Lucy, who needs to be trimmed. Lucy needs to be trimmed back, but there's lemons I can pick right now. It's awesome. You can do all this in a small space. Well, there we have a nice and pleasant morning of planting our starts. And I've got some more to plant, but right now I'm going to take a break and do some other work. But I wanted to bring you along on just a relaxing winter planting. It is the right time to plant brassicas, even now in November in the Houston area, in Zone 9A on the Texas coast. According to the planting chart put out by Texas A&M Agricultural Extension Office, the optimal time for most of these is mid-October to the end of October, but you can plant these throughout the rest of the winter in our area because it's warm enough. I mean, it's what, 80 something right now. We're going to have a warm week. It could be in the 80s one week and in the 50s another week, but that's fine for these brassicas. They like that kind of weather. And we'll plant you some food, man. Make a garden. If you want to know how to build these kinds of gardens and grow in your own backyard in a small context like this, subscribe to my channel. If we've earned your subscription, I thank you. And, well, learn how to grow food with us. Thank you for joining me today. We'll talk to you next time. Happy gardening. Bye-bye.